Good day everyone, here is our latest video update on Typhoon Prapiroon and also on another tropical cyclone that has formed in the Western Pacific. We now have Tropical Depression 23W. Today is Sunday afternoon. We continue to watch. Begin with Typhoon Prapiroon or Bagyong still moving very slowly across the Philippine Sea, still inside the Philippine area of responsibilities, last located approximately 970 kilometers east-northeast of Basco, Batanes, or about 540 kilometers southeast of Okinawa. Maximum sustained winds have decreased to 140 kilometers per hour since we looked at this system. Gusts of up to 195 kilometers per hour. The Prapiroon is still moving north-northeastward very slowly at 10 kilometers per hour. Now looking at the latest visible image, system is still pretty strong, still typhoon. And you can see a very large size. You can see the cloud shield now approaching the Daito Islands, and even here into the Okinawa, some serious clouds beginning to move in the region there as well. Overall, the system still looks symmetrical. The eye has been cloud filled, although it has grown much larger in the past 24 to 36 hours. Looking at the microwave image, you can see the banding here. Very big, very expansive. The system seems to have gone under an eyewall replacement cycle, though I'm not really sure about that. Joint Typhoon Warning Center never really mentioned it, but looking at the series of microwave images since Friday, we observed that the inner eyewall has decayed, leading to the system weakening down to a category 1. Still, again, we can still see the pretty good convective banding here in the microwave image. Not really sure if this is the new eyewall, but it seems pretty strong, and does definitely look like a typhoon signature. And actually, if you look at the infrared image, you can definitely see that clearing on the system center. This seemed to be an eye, very large in that. And also the return of pretty strong convective activity, especially along the eastern and southeastern peripheries of the system. Still some pretty good radial outflow. See the poleward outflow, very good there as well. And again, you can see the system still looks very symmetrical, even at this region where we expect the system to eventually weaken due to the cooler waters in the northern part of the Philippine Sea. I mentioned the system moving north-northeastward, but there has been a big change in the forecast consensus from the Joint Typhoon Warning Center and the computer models, not so much with the JMA. As you can see, the system moving northeastward, but it is forecast to eventually turn northwestward. Looking at the model consensus has changed significantly. If you remember, the forecast models 2 days ago were forecasting this to continue moving northeastward, avoiding the Ryukyu Islands. Well, right now, much of the models have shifted westward and bringing Prapiroon very near Okinawa, perhaps within 200 kilometers east of that island, and perhaps moving very near the Daito Islands in the next 2 days here. So, again, we were talking about the uncertainties that's still lingering in the forecast tracks, where now we are seeing those shifts happening. And looking at the official forecast agencies here, we begin with the Joint Typhoon Warning Center, again showing you the system tracking northeastward and then turn northwestward, perhaps moving just west of the Daito Islands, or about 200 to 300 kilometers east of Okinawa. And then after moving northwestward, perhaps moving into Tuesday or Wednesday, we expect the system to eventually recurve to the northeast, still maintaining its typhoon intensity for at least another 2 to 3 days. So still a pretty big threat for Daito and even for Okinawa, even though the system will be passing well to the east of the island. Now finally, we have the Japan Meteorological Agency, and to its credit, JMA has been pretty consistent with its westward forecast for the past 4 to 5 days. You can still see this agency, for some reason, tracking Prapiroon directly westward. Abrupt turn to the west in the next 24 hours, according to this agency, and eventually moving northwestward, eventually recurving to the northeast, passing very closely to the islands of Okinawa, Amami, and the rest of the Ryukyu Islands. basically passing. The consensus now is for Prapiroon to move anywhere between the Okinawa and the Daito Islands. So improving consensus overall, but still lots of uncertainties remaining with this system. Looking at the steering flow in the atmosphere, we see the idea emerging. You can see the subtropical ridge here over the Pacific Ocean and its western extension, which we have been talking about in the past 3 days, will allow Prapiroon to eventually move northwestward, and then after, say, by Tuesday or Wednesday, system is forecast to resume its movement to the northeast, eventually avoiding Ryukyus, but still gonna be a big threat for Okinawa, Daito Islands, Amami, even though the system is a weak typhoon at this point. Going back to the infrared image, you can see the system now starting to move into the Daito Islands. In fact, look at the JMA radar. You can see bands of the outer bands of Prapiroon now beginning to move into Daito Islands, with some of them light to moderate rains should be expected in the next 24 hours here. Not so much yet for Okinawa. System is still far away from that island to really impact the area, but definitely high waves all across the Ryukyu Islands and even into the island of Kyushu and Shikoku will be a threat for the next 3 to 5 days. For Prapiroon, we move on to the new tropical cyclone here in the western Pacific. This is Tropical Depression 23W. This is west of the Marianas Islands, located approximately 480 kilometers north-northwest of the island of Guam. Maximum sustained winds are at 55 kilometers per hour with gusts of up to 85. System is moving westward at 10 kilometers per hour. You can see this latest infrared image. System still has fragmented convective activity, but still showing signs of improvement in the past 24 hours. System low-level circulation center is located right underneath this convective activity, so pretty good organization and structure overall. We are expecting wind shear to weaken slightly, and warm waters will definitely help the system intensify further. And in fact, we're looking at the Joint Typhoon Warning Center, showing the system to move generally westward and then turn northwestward, again under this subtropical ridge that is situated over the northern Pacific. So that clockwise flow in the atmosphere is what this system will follow. So by Monday, Tuesday and Wednesday, system should start tracking generally northward, moving, perhaps passing closely near Iwo To and the rest of the Ogasawara Islands by Tuesday or Wednesday. Still maintaining its tropical storm status, not expected to be a typhoon, but still forecast to strengthen at least to a tropical storm status in the next 2 to 3 days. System, or former Invest 90W, is a system that we've been watching for the past few days, bringing those heavy rains across the Marianas Islands. Well, thankfully, much of the rains are now located west of the islands. You can see in the latest Doppler radar from Guam, the bulk of the convection, the bulk of the rains are now situated northwest, not really impacting anymore. There are still some high surf advisories though across the islands issued by the National Weather Service due to the proximity of this depression. Will probably continue kicking up waves in this region for at least another 2 days, and eventually system will move near the Ogasawara Islands, bringing the threat of strong rains, heavy rains, I should say, strong winds and rough surf. That is all for today. Thank you for watching. Keep checking out JMA for the latest official warnings and forecasts, especially if you are in the Okinawa area. We will continue to watch the system very closely. So again, it's still moving very slowly in this region. So, but overall, in terms of timeline, if the forecast does hold, expect impacts to start moving into Okinawa and especially Daito Islands in the next 48 hours. Stay safe, guys.